But no, it still is weird to me. Like, I remember when we downloaded Shopify the first time, and the very first notification I got was actually on the way back from a football game, and I phoned you immediately, and I was like, "Have you seen it?"
Some geezers actually bought our little shin
I
pad.
couldn't believe it. Do you remember, like, if you didn't play well on like a Sunday, there'd be no conversation in the household for about 24 to 48 hours, I reckon. At the time, me and you were probably ready to pack our bags and leave the house. That's kind of governed and shaped who we are as people.
Like, some people hate it, some people love it. People wanted the big shin pad. Like, why is this tiny shin pad even a thing? It doesn't protect you, which is, people thought maybe that's damaging us, but it was helping us because it was helping us go viral.
And we knew that at the time. That was kind of what we wanted to do.
So we knew exactly what we were doing. Yes, guys, so welcome to the Jogger Podcast. So today we got a special guest, my brother and co-founder of Jogger, Ethan Chislett, who's had quite a interesting story in football, coming through non-league, a lot of setbacks and stuff like this. So it's going to be an exciting one. We'll talk about how we built Jogger, what we're kind of looking to do in the future, and obviously his career, and a lot about our family's football traditions. So it's going to be a good one. Yes, so welcome, Ethan. Let's I think start off just by talking about your football career so far, how it started. Obviously you went into non-league, some academy stuff, there were some setbacks, and now you're playing professionally in England. You got a lot of caps. So take us back to the start.
Start probably obviously Sunday league football. Just kind of, obviously, I'm sure as most people who have listened to you know that our old man, our dad, was into football, so it was kind of it wasn't a choice really, but
it's forced into
it was kind of forced. But no, we obviously found our love and enjoyment through the game, through Sunday league football. Guildford Saints is kind of the first memory I have of it. We had a very good team, very competitive, and through that I got opportunities in certain academies, bounced around in certain academies. I got released quite a few times for being too small physically, obviously. I was always underdeveloped, and obviously, I'm not sure if you know this, but in England, I'm born in August, so I'm like late in my year. So naturally, I'm going to be underdeveloped anyway. But yes, it kind of bounced in and around academies. To be honest with you, looking back on it, that experience, I never really enjoyed being in an academy or playing there. I don't know. I never really felt like I fully fitted in.
And what were some of the academies for everyone watching that you were in?
So it was Reading, Southampton, Aldershot, who were League 2 at the time, I believe. Crawley for literally less than a month, so I don't even think you can count that. Is there any more?
I think that was it. I think the interesting thing for everyone, because obviously I already know, I'm not like trying to pretend I know the story, so I'm just trying to let it out for everyone. But the interesting thing, I think, is you had those setbacks. So the Southampton, the Reading, I think QPR was one as well, for being too small, like over and over again, the same thing, getting all the way, even getting signed a lot of the times, and then them saying that's too small, you're too small. And then I think you then went back to like a Sunday league type of thing where you were coached by our dad, who's that's even more rigorous than academy football, as we all know. But so how people then would say after all of that, you've been knocked down like 3 or 4 times, the same thing. Then you go to Sunday league, they're like at maybe 16, 17, they think, he's done. Like, how is it then going back to, like, after being the big dog in the academy scene, like maybe everyone knows, this guy plays for Southampton in the area. Then you go back to Sunday league. Like, how did you cope with that and then kick on?
In a weird way, again, I'm not sure many people realise this. I think you probably understand more than probably anyone. I never found like I was ever achieving anything while I was at those academies anyway. I always felt like so long as I was impressing Dad, the rest kind of takes care of itself. Like, I didn't care if the coach at Southampton liked me. I didn't really care. All I cared about was whether my dad thought I trained well or played well, and that's just the way it was. So for me then to, in a weird way, obviously there were I'm sure there were tears spilled, and it was an emotional period of time. Obviously, no one likes getting released or or the idea of that. But in a weird way, I think it was a step up because I was able to train with my dad a lot more, someone who knows football inside and out. And like I've said this numerous times, I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this as any sort of bias, I don't think there's a better coach out there. Not that I've seen anyway.
And we'll obviously talk about it later, the stuff about our family playing football, our granddad, all our brothers play academies. I'm playing professionally now. You're obviously playing professionally, and my dad played professionally as well. But in terms of him as a coach as well, it's kind of maybe gone under the radar because he doesn't like shout about it. But like, I think from like non-league, he's obviously been a non-league coach, like under 18s. There's been, like I think 15, 20 players that have gone pro from like non-league, which is like unbelievable. Like you never see that anywhere else from non-league.
Not just pro. I mean, you're talking like the championship, which probably now is like potentially a top 5, top 6, maybe top 7 league in the world. So yeah.
And some beyond. There's been some crazy ones, but you can look that up. But then so in terms of the stuff about getting released and stuff, what would you, for the people watching, obviously there's going to be a lot of young kids watching who wear Jogger, like the brand and stuff, and maybe know your story. Like, what would you recommend for someone getting released or just being in that situation where maybe someone says you're not good enough or you're out the team or that kind of situation? What would you suggest?
Well, obviously within that moment, obviously feel disappointed because I think without the disappointment, I don't think without the lows being so low, the highs can't be so high. So you've got to take obviously the rough with the smooth. But what I would say is you got to find that enjoyment again. Basically just strip it back to basics and just find the enjoyment of football again, which is what I did. And through that, I created more opportunities for myself. I genuinely believe that if, let's just say I was at Southampton from the age of 8 till, I don't know, maybe a first year pro or first year scholar or whatever, I don't think I'd be in the situation I am today. I don't think I'd be a professional footballer.
There's a key thing. We've talked about it a lot as well, and we see it a lot. Obviously, when you were playing non-league, I played non-league over 150 times. There's so many times you'll play for these teams and then you'll get a signing on loan from a Cat 1 academy player who's played all their life in Cat 1, and they come and they absolutely stink it up. Like they're shocked. They're nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. And obviously, like, you could say, oh, there's time to grow, but like it's just a completely different game. And the men's side of the game is so much different. The mindset is different. You've got to be gritty, and that's not just in non-league. That happens in the football league, but these guys aren't prepared for that. So I think having a mix of both is definitely important. But yeah, maybe you could touch on then how you went from non-league, maybe at Met Police, and then up through the ranks into professional football, and how that was as a smaller technical player, which is extremely hard to do to pave your way in that sort of system.
Yeah, well, I think to start off with, I think it's worth mentioning the Met Police youth team who I was with. Again, coached by my dad, and Stuart Searle at the time was the manager. Most of the boys from Guildford Saints got picked up by Met Police, so we had a strong team. I think we might still have the record for the FA Youth Cup furthest team for a non-league, potentially. We beat the likes of, I think we lost to Wolves. We beat the likes of Yeovil at the time. There's another one too. We beat Burnley on penalties.
Dulwich Hamlet as well.
Yeah, Dulwich, who were a big team at the time. And then obviously through the success, I got my opportunity playing at the age of maybe 16, 17, at Met Police first team. They wanted me to sign a deal. I didn't want to sign it, basically. And through that kind of tension arose, I guess, and I got my opportunity to go out to Spain through my dad. And that was, I look back at that as probably the best learning curve and best experience of my footballing career, probably still. Those couple of years I spent there just learning the game, learning that through different culture comes a different perspective of football. And the two, I believe, are linked very closely. And then after the 2 years, I had a decision to make. Either I had to stick where I was in Spain, or potentially come back and build, because by that point, you know what football's like. You forget, people forget who you are very quickly. Football moves on. I eventually chose to go back to Met Police.
And that was, I remember that time, it was like that but you also had a good opportunity in Spain, that like maybe like a third division team or something that wanted to sign you.
It was actually a B team who played in the third division, I believe, of a Segunda team. So their first team, their B teams essentially, they're 23s, but they obviously play in competitive leagues. And the first team was Segunda. They were challenging at the time to go to La Liga. It was a tough decision, but I believe one that I think looking back on it, it was the correct decision. I knew like I think my dad tried to basically force me to go back to Spain, but I kind of knew, I had a feeling like, I don't know, it's just, I guess, an instinct, I guess. I'd do well for 1 year in non-league and potentially progress, and that's exactly what happened. And again, had a really good spell in the FA Youth Cup with Met Police first team this time. Scored a few goals, one of which was in the playoff final. And again, this is how football works. So there was a newly recruited assistant manager at the time, who was in the crowd that day. I actually scored a bit of a worldie, to be fair. I went top bins.
We'll put that one in. Play it over the top.
But no, and he saw me play and really liked what he saw. And through that, I got the opportunity to sign for Aldershot, who was National League. And that was my first experience within England of playing full time. And yeah, done really well again that year. Had quite a bit of interest in January that year. So I'd only been there for 5 months. Had league interest in January. And then, signed for Wimbledon in the summer of that year, which was actually was that the COVID year? I think it was the COVID year. Yeah, so the season got cut a bit premature. Signed for Wimbledon. Again, lots of ups and downs at Wimbledon. And then 3 years later, signed for Port Vale. So
yeah, it's quite a good, quite a quick spike. Like going from now, if you said to someone, especially as a technical small number 10 who's not big and strong and powerful, there's like going from step 3 non-league to League One in that short period of time, maybe 1.5, 2 years. Like how maybe there's probably a lot of people watching who are in that situation, or maybe they're younger and they're aspiring to go to an academy, a Cat 1 academy, for example. I think that would be a similar kind of step. Like, what are the things that set you apart to be able to bridge that gap?
Yeah, I think again, this I don't want to mention him too much and inflate his ego, but I think my dad's always drilled into me that being technically good is not enough, especially in this country, to be honest. I always had to score goals. I had to, so I could play really, really well, but in my eyes, because of what's, I guess, been drilled into my head, if you play well but don't score or get an assist, you can never really be above a 7 out of 10, which isn't good enough.
And that's I remember like those conversations and stuff, and it was true. Like, because in non-league you don't have like loads of eyes on you. There's a few people in the crowd, obviously, but essentially you only get picked up if people look on Twitter and they keep seeing your name on the sheet, goal every week, and then they look on the top scorers and they see, oh, this guy's 21 and he's a attacking midfielder. He's just come in and he keeps scoring. He's on top of the scoring sheet, top of the assistant sheet. That's the only, like, realistically in non-league, that's probably the only way you're going to get noticed.
Yeah.
Or one of the only, like, and obviously there might be some people watching and they might, oh, this guy's, but you have to score and you have to.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have to score.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes it even harder for defenders, as you'll probably know, because if you let's say you keep a clean sheet, generally speaking, people will probably look at the keeper before the defenders.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you got to get assists as a fullback, as a centre back. You still got to get goals. That's just the main thing.
You've got to be about 6'8" as well.
Yes,
any sort of sniff of me.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's tough. But yeah, that's kind of that. And how has it been, like, in terms of, I think mainly from Met Police to Aldershot maybe, and kind of to Wimbledon, but like adjusting to full-time football? How was that? Because you kind of took it in your stride, obviously, because you went straight from Aldershot, which was full-time, into Wimbledon the year after. So how was that, like, adjustment?
Yeah, It probably sounds a bit big-headed, but I was expecting the jump from Met Police to Aldershot to be bigger. I think the main thing I found with that is, and obviously being my own probably harshest critic, I think January onwards that year it become tough for me because you're playing so many games, and not only that, the amount more like the movements within a game are sharper, everything's stronger. You know, your 50-50s, you're losing more, and you got for more headers and stuff like that. A lot of things that people probably don't take into account, but it does wear you down. And I feel like I noticed that in January, and my performance has probably dipped off. Luckily, I think I'd done enough from August to January to secure the move to Wimbledon in the first place. But yeah, I was expecting that to be tougher. And then again, I've got to mention probably Danny Searle, who was the manager of Aldershot at the time. He put a lot of trust in me to play, which is, again, it's a massive thing. And then obviously I went to Wimbledon, and I remember I was speaking to an agent at the time, and he said the main thing, your main goal needs to be to break this idea of a non-league player, because I've obviously just signed for a League One team, and they've signed a non-league player. So how can you break the mold and essentially become what in most people's eyes is a professional footballer? So that was kind of the biggest obstacle I probably had to overcome. And then obviously, listen, there's loads of obstacles along the way. Like, you don't play as much because you're viewed as a non-league player, and you know, maybe, I don't know, the team signs a marquee signing in your position, so you know you're constantly fighting against things. But like I said, that's the same in any industry in the entire world. So,
and that's something like the psychological thing of like not being seen as a non-league player, like that. This, I think, is the biggest thing. We've also talked about it before, and we've talked about it with our dad as well. But like something that I think about a lot. It's like an example I use is like, let's say Sheffield Wednesday in the champ. This is a question as well. Sheffield Wednesday are in the champ, and Man City, and they're just scraping by in the champ, whatever. And Man City have just won the Champions League, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. They've won the Prem, won the quadruple. But then both of these guys, they go to sleep, or all of them, before the new season, and they wake up and they think they're the other person. And they play each other in a match. So the Sheffield Wednesday guys, they all believe in their head. They're the exact same ability, exact same physical attributes, but they wake up believing that they've just won the quadruple. And the Man City players, exactly the same, Haaland, De Bruyne, all of them, but they believe they're scraping in the champ. Who do you think wins that game?
Yeah, I think the people that wake up thinking of that.
But like, if they played each other normally, it'd be 6-0 Man City. Yeah. But because they've woken up and they truly from the bottom of their heart believe because that's what they have done. Then they would beat these. It's so much of a mindset thing, but it's also like almost impossible to like fix your mindset in that way, to like, because you have to like actually believe it from like the bottom of your heart. Otherwise, even if there's 1% that doesn't believe it, then you're fucked. But yeah, the psychological part is so important. But yeah, I think let's talk about, probably we're on the Jogger channel, it's probably best to talk about how we started Jogger and stuff. People are probably interested in that side of it as well. So yeah, I'll let you kind of talk on how it kind of went right from the start, like probably nearly 3 years ago now, of the first idea, like what we were kind of trying to do, how it started, how messy it was. And yeah, we can kind of just talk on that.
Yeah. Again, this probably wouldn't have happened without non-league football, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I remember, again, mentioned Met Police, coming in as a 16, 17-year-old into the first team change rooms. Actually, I might have been 18 at the time, I'm not too sure. But I was young anyway. And I remember, like vividly remember, after the warm-up, everyone's getting ready and people are putting their shinnies on. And yeah, I remember there was a quick winger who was, at the time, he was the best player in the team at the time. And there's obviously there's tea, coffee, some drinks or gels, whatever. And he's got like a similar to this, but like almost a bit like polystyrene cup. You know, you get those ones in non-league. And he's ripped it in half and he's just put it in his sock. this is like I think the linesman even, he opened the door and he saw it, and obviously didn't do anything like about it. But I was just like, that's just like obscene to me. And but again, the way he played, it was free. It was like imaginative. He was creative. He might have had an awful game, but then he might have had an unbelievable game the next. Do you know what I mean? So he was one of those players. And off the back of that, you would have seen this loads as well. Like people obviously putting just mental stuff in their socks, just pretend that to be shin pads. Off the back of that, we obviously had the idea about how we could use that, I guess, to create a wave within football, I think. And yeah, like I say, it's took off. I remember it was first called Jogger, and then obviously, that was trademarked, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we had a bit of an issue. Thought everything was going down, but then we quickly changed. I think it's done us for the good.
Yeah, 100%.
But initially, it was just like a conversation in the living room of like, what can we do? Because the biggest thing was like a desire to do something in football. That was the initial thing. Like, what can we do in football? We love football. Our whole family loves football. We're like, that's what we do. And then it was like, so what do we need? And then obviously that was a huge gap in the market. It was a huge pain point. Like the amount of people especially in non-league and everywhere else, that were just doing this or not wearing shin pads, or they just hated the idea of wearing the big bulky shin pads. It was ridiculous. There was so many of it, but literally nothing on the market. Like now, you can 3 years on, you can see everyone with mini shin pads. Like every young player coming through, and like everyone's wearing mini shin pads. Even if it's people that's copied our idea or whatever it is, like everyone's now wearing it, but there was nothing. You have to remember, like there was literally zero, like no.
And it was to the point where we thought, at first we thought, oh, there must be something in the ruling regarding it.
Yeah.
And there obviously wasn't.
There wasn't. And then we looked at the ruling. We looked at the FA ruling. It just had to be a shin pad. You just have to wear shin pads. You just can't wear no shin pads. The size doesn't actually matter. So yeah, then it was actually Ethan's idea in the first place to do it, and then we kind of just built a quick website. It was, if you look back at it now, it looks horrific. Yeah, like horrific. And then just from there, like we just DM'd like thousands of footballers from academies. Because for me, on us being in academies, we knew if we get the top guys from academies and give them the shin pads, they're going to take it for free. Yeah. They obviously they all like this idea of a mini shin pad. Send it to all of them, and then it kind of trickles down. All their friends start wearing it. Everyone in the academy, and that's literally exactly what played out. Everyone was loving it. Everyone was posting it, putting it on their stories. We were getting loads of viral TikToks because of how, like, some people hate it, some people love it. People wanted the big shin pad. Like, why is this tiny shin pad even a thing? It doesn't protect you, which is, people thought maybe that's damaging us, but it was helping us because it was helping us go viral. And
we knew that at the time. That was kind of what we wanted to do.
That was the whole point.
We kind of wanted to trigger people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so we knew exactly what we were doing. And then, I think from there, that was obviously 3 years ago. We've just year on year, just like grown massively. And
that's, like I say, it's basically all due to you. Obviously I take a step back because of football within England. I remember it was my job you remember this, it was an absolute hassle. Like parents obviously complaining at the time that the process wasn't smooth, was it?
It was horrific
because we were sending it like God knows where and through God knows who. And I'd get so many Instagram DMs on Jogger, just and I was the one replying. So if you haven't got a response, I apologise, but it's probably me. But like since then, obviously the process is smoothed out massively, and it's a massive to you.
I think, well, if we look at it now and people look at it now, obviously it's huge now, but like back then, it was really, it literally was a family business. Like Ethan was answering the DMs while playing, and we were taking obviously pictures with Ethan because he was playing for Wimbledon at the time, and using that as like material, getting his friends. I remember Carl Hudlin, the tallest player in the world. He was a big thing to start it. Joe Whitworth as well, my friend. Like we just got all of the people we knew and leveraged it really. But like literally we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have a warehouse or anything. We just shipped everything to our house. Like my room was just full of boxes. And then every 2 or 3 days it would be me, Ethan, my little brother Jagger. Like we'd all get involved. My mum like packaging, my dad packaging orders, literally writing people's addresses on it. Going to the post office with like bags full of stuff because we'd gone viral like a few days before.
And sending it off. Your room was literally a maze.
Yeah, it was
like
shocking.
to get to your bed, it probably took about half an hour.
Yeah, it was
once you
shocking.
opened the door.
It was absolutely shocking.
But
I was trying to put some pictures up, but like we should have recorded more of that process because it was.
It's quite cool looking back on it. Yeah,
should have recorded it, but like we obviously didn't know at the time that it could.
And like I say, like with regards to potentially you could call it fate or God's timing, that was all coupled with the fact that football was becoming more robotic.
Yeah.
And I think people are getting sick of it. Even now, it's still too robotic for me. You look at, I'm not sure if you watched the Champions League the other day, but those games they're unbelievable. But it's because like people are just going toe to toe. You look at like Lamine Yamal at the minute. Why is he so good? It's because he's different.
But I also think that's not like people might say, oh, of course, but like that was the deep rooted thing behind why we made the brand. Like we'd always watch like the Jogger Bonito videos of Nike, Ronaldinho. Always watch the Ronaldinho games, his like highlights and stuff like that. These players who like just like it's what true football is like from like the ground up, from the streets to the pitch, like it's everything. So that was like the whole idea, and that probably pushed us to actually make the brand, which is what we're about now, and that's our mission of just bringing football back to its roots. But yeah, I genuinely think now, if you even look at the players coming through and the kids coming through, I genuinely think the message we've brought across and the push we've had, especially in the UK, if you look at the young players, like it's made a difference of people kind of going back to the like swinging the pendulum, because it went way too far, and I think we caught it at a time and had our message at the time that I think we're starting to push it back. Genuinely, like if you look at the kids now who are wearing Jogger in London and all these kind of places, that they're all like they're doing rainbow flicks, they're having fun, they're obsessed with football. Even our little brother as well, like same thing. Like, and you might say, oh, but you just made some fucking shin pads and some socks and stuff, but it's just like the meaning behind it, and all the messaging in our website, our socials, our ads, our emails, everything is all around that, as bringing like freedom and joy back. And obviously loads of people get it. I know people kind of get annoyed that they're getting the ads fed to them all the time, but it's just reinforcing that idea. And that's our whole mission. And yeah, I think we're gonna grow it further.
Yeah, 100%. I think a few of the boys at Port Vale were moaning the other day to me as well about you, saying they see you more than their missus. So
people getting emails from me and that as well. Yeah, hammering people are fucking raging.
But yeah, no, it's been good, and it's grown like so quickly. I think quicker than probably I remember when we first set out, we had a couple of people in mind, didn't we?
Yeah.
Jack Grealish was the main one at the time because he wore his socks low. And since then, obviously, he's on board. So
he's on board. Rivaldo, Balotelli, Ronaldo Jr., Lauren James. Like
that's the thing. The women's game, it's massive in the women's game too, which is obviously growing massively.
All the biggest female players wear Jogger.
Exactly. So, but no, it still is weird to me. Like, obviously, I remember when we downloaded the Shopify the first time, and the very first notification I got was actually on the way back from a football game, and I phoned you immediately, and I was like, "Have you seen it?"
Some geezers actually bought our little shin pad.
I couldn't believe it. But yeah, since then, and now, you know, just the other day, I'm getting one of the players in the dressing room, obviously. He's asking me for like, I don't know, some sort of code or how he can get a Jogger shin pad for his son. So it's just taken off massively.
Yeah, it's huge. And then in terms of the future, we got like loads of things coming. We're building our kids section out quite a lot more because people love the kids stuff we're bringing out. Going into a lot of new things. We probably can't say it on air because everyone will copy us again. But yeah, the future is really bright. But again, everything's based on what we're doing is based on getting it like what players actually want, what pros actually want, because we're players ourselves. We know players. Every product is tested by literally hundreds of professional players before it goes out. It's the ideas are from professional players, so it kind of just filters down, and we know that there's demand for it. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff coming, and just want to, just every product is just a vessel to get our message across of bringing football back to its roots. That's the biggest thing that we want to kind of achieve. That's the mission. So yeah, that's probably enough on Jogger. We can talk for days about it. Obviously, I'm like obsessed. That's what I do every single day. Every hour of the day, I'm thinking about how we can build that. But yeah, I wanted to also touch on this podcast a bit about our Chislett family roots. Obviously, we've mentioned our dad quite a lot, who's been hugely influential. But maybe you can touch on how like we have this footballing family and every single person plays football and it's basically not a choice.
No, I know. Yeah, so I think it all probably stemmed from my granddad. Obviously, back when South Africa, I believe, is during the apartheid. I think. He represented South African national team. He's obviously, from what I've heard, is a very good player. Right back as well. I think he'll play centre mid, but yeah, largely a right back. And obviously through his love of footy, our old man, kind of used that and saw it through his own eyes. And I guess through his passion, we've Zach, I, and our two other brothers. Yeah, like I say, it's probably the biggest thing in our household. Do you remember, like, again, this is if you didn't play well on like a Sunday,
Jesus,
there'd be no conversation in the household for about 24 to 48 hours, I reckon.
Absolutely.
The drive home would be horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just begin, but like at the time, me and you were probably ready to pack our bags and leave the house at the age of about 14.
Crying in the fucking bath.
Yeah. But you're obviously raging at the time. I guess you're in a way kind of confused, but looking back on it, I think that's kind of governed and shaped who we are as people.
And that's a big thing that I'll do the exact same thing, or even more with my kids when they're that old and playing football. It's not just about football. It teaches you like about life. Like you there's no room to be like subpar. There's no room to even be like okay. Like you have to be excellent every single, whatever you do, excellent all the time. Which is why we've been able to build joggers to this standard as well, and whatever else I think we would do and our brothers do. It's that mindset of like everything has to be like on par every single time. Like there's even if you do, this is like the mindset of how like our dad would kind of be. But like if you had 10 unbelievable games in a row and then you had a 6 out of 10, you would know about it. Probably even more than you would if you had if you didn't have those 10 games. Like is every relentless.
Literally relentless.
Yeah.
And that word's overused massively, but it was relentless. Yeah, I actually, again, a couple of days ago, I got a message on Instagram through one of my friends who I haven't seen in ages. But I shared Jagger's footage against Brighton. Jagger's our younger brother, and he obviously performed really, really well. He's a very good player. But off the back of that, someone's just gone, watch your old man feeding you shizzlets. And I just thought, yeah, well. But again, and then not
psychologically feeding.
Yeah, literally. But again, so just obviously touching on Jagger and Cruz, two very good players. Cruz is so young, but you can already tell, like,
just got something for Brighton.
Yeah, as well. He's got something about him. Jagger's like so smooth on a football pitch. He moves in ways that I don't think many. Correct me if I'm wrong. Many English players do. But yeah, so like I say, it's football's massive in our household, and we're talking a lot about our dad. I think mom's been massive for us too.
Being also a bit of a sounding board when we want to fucking when we're annoyed and we've played bad 2 weeks in a row.
I wanted to buy a gun just to but no, yeah, like I say, she's been amazing. She obviously big into psychology as well. She taught it for many years. She's a teacher, or was a teacher, not anymore. But yeah, I think she kind of understood Dad's passion and kind of evened it out on the other side of the scale.
And but it was also the fact of obviously Dad as well. But I'm sure there's many stories of people like this, or maybe not, and you're not as fortunate. But like working all day, then doing like extra lessons, then taking us to football. There's 4 of us, and we're all always playing football. Like at the times, maybe when we were all that age, like literally 4 or 3 of us, like going to training every day. Like you'd be Monday, Thursday, Friday. I'd be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Jagger would be Sunday. Like every single day. Like when I think about that now, at the time it's just like, oh, like that's my mum, that's my dad, that's what they do. But now thinking, I'll be like, fuck.
She's literally held it together. She literally has held the household together.
So it's It's a huge thing, but like, you know, how that's where obviously all the passion comes from. Everything's about football. Football's on 24/7. That's all that's kind of talked about. It's all that's kind of that's where even more, way more than school, football's taught me everything. Like
A
everything
million.
about life.
I actually, yeah, I remember I probably didn't try as hard in school just because of
Yeah.
my desire to do something else. I never wanted to succeed in school, if that makes sense. Or
Yeah.
never
Like
really
even
wanted to.
never really crossed really my mind.
Yeah.
But like even like obviously mom was more on that side, but then dad, you were kind of just trying to, like he didn't have that much influence on the school stuff. You were kind of just trying to impress him and
No,
make
no.
sure make like the next session your best session. And like
Yeah.
I think now on that stuff as well, like in terms of standards, now obviously we're like I live in Dubai, you live in Stoke, obviously playing for Port Vale right now.
Manchester. Just put that in. Keep that in. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, like
Nothing's wrong with Stoke, by the way. Nothing's wrong with Stoke.
Now you feel like it's just second nature. You don't even think, like, you just think like, even like dad's just like watching like in the background. You don't like, it's just like imprinted in your head.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, like I can take it fucking easy now. It's just like, that's just how we like live.
I know, yeah.
Which is, yeah, it's good. So yeah, that's where it was. Obviously all stemmed from the root of the tree was our granddad who played for South Africa. And yeah, it's kind of just come down, and I think we're gonna keep on growing that tree with our sons and daughters or whatever, and yeah, build the legacy even further with Jogger, with football, with everything. So yeah, it's gonna be good. But I think just to close off, maybe talk about the rest of your career, because even though you're 26 now, you're obviously the type of player that can probably go on to like late 30s at least. So you've obviously you came into league football at maybe 21, so you've still got a long time. What are your like aspirations and goals for the future?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is representing South Africa. I think the national team's in an unbelievable place at the minute, doing really well, and also they're looking more at players abroad. You look at Lyle Foster, for example. I think he's helped that massively. Striker for Burnley. I think they've just got promoted as well. Are they back in the Prem?
Yeah, I think so.
They're back in the Prem. So like I say, people like that obviously help out massively. But yeah, that's the I think the main goal that kind of takes over any other kind of short term, medium term, long term. I think that's the one that's in my head at the minute. And
it's World Cup as well, isn't it? Next year.
Is it next year already?
Yeah, USA. Year. But I don't know if they could get into the World Cup. Hopefully,
like I say, I think they're looking likely. Touch wood. Obviously, they make it. But yeah, that's the one that I want to accomplish. And yeah, obviously, like I said, that stems from our granddad and his accomplishments and stuff like that. So I just want to kind of continue that legacy. And yeah, hopefully, like I say, that's kind of the one that I want the most, and I don't think it's too far away, but there's obviously still a bit to go, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, nice. I think it's a bright future ahead for everything. We've got to keep going, keep grinding. But yeah, I think that's good for today. It's obviously one of the first podcasts we've done. We're going to have a few, but it's not going to be a consistent thing. But when we get some players in, some people from my network or my friends, we'll get them on the podcast just to drop some gems, and yeah, hopefully it's interesting, and yeah, see you later, guys.